I used to rent a small, cheap room inside a 3-bedroom apartment. It was nothing special, just a bed, a desk, and a window facing an alley. But it was quiet, and quiet was all I needed. Until one morning, I woke up and noticed something strange. The room felt tighter, not in a dramatic way. The air just felt heavier, like the walls were closer than they were last night. I brushed it off. Bad sleep, I thought, stress, whatever. But the next morning, it happened again. I sat up in bed, and my knees touched the edge of the desk. That never happened before. I would have had to stretch to reach it normally. I measured the distance from the bed to the desk with my feet. Last week, it was 3.5 steps. That morning, it was barely 2. I told myself I was imagining it. But every night, the room felt colder, and every morning, smaller. On the 4th night, something new happened. Around 3 a.m., I woke up because the blanket wouldn't move. It felt stuck, like something was pinning it down at the bottom. I sat up, pulled harder, and something tugged back. Not aggressively, just enough to let me know it wasn't accidental. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. The next morning, the room had shrunk again. My wardrobe door couldn't fully open. It hit the bed frame. The walls looked wrong, subtly angled, as if they were bending inward. That was the day I decided to move out. But moving out wasn't as simple as packing a bag, because that night, the room didn't wait for morning. Around 1:40 a.m., I woke up with the feeling of something pressing against my bedhead, a steady, slow pressure, like a breath pushing the wood forward. The air tasted stale and humid, as if the room itself was exhaling. I turned on my phone flashlight, and the wall behind my bed was closer. Not by a small amount. It was touching the bed frame, closing around it like a fist. The ceiling looked lower too. My lamp, which hung comfortably before, now brushed the top of my head when I sat up. I scrambled out of bed and backed into the corner, but the corner wasn't a corner anymore. The walls were bending inward, curving. The door was on the opposite side of the room, but the space between us was shrinking, slowly, breath by breath. I shoved at the wall. It was soft, not like drywall, like pushing into something breathing. I panicked and ran for the door. The space fought me, my shoulders scraping both walls as I forced my way through. By the time I reached the handle, the ceiling was just above my head, compressing downward like a closing jaw. I yanked the door open, fell into the hallway, and the room behind me expanded back, instantly, like nothing had happened. My landlord didn't believe me, of course. He said rooms don't shrink. But he did mention something before he left. Tenants never stayed in that room longer than a few months. He said people complained that it felt claustrophobic. But the last girl who lived there, she left all her furniture behind. The landlord always wondered why. I know why. When I passed by that room on my way out, I swear I heard something inside. A slow inhale and a slower exhale, like the room was disappointed I got out. I live alone in a small single-floor house. It's quiet, predictable, and honestly, a bit lonely. But loneliness is easier than the alternative. At least, that's what I used to think. One night, around 2 a.m., I woke up thirsty. Nothing unusual. I walked toward the kitchen in the dark, letting my eyes adjust to the faint blue glow from the window. Halfway down the hallway, I froze. Someone was standing in the kitchen, a tall silhouette, back turned to me, standing at the counter. I only saw the outline, lit faintly by the microwave clock. At first, I thought it was a burglar, but then the figure tilted its head, slowly, thoughtfully, exactly the way I do when I think. I whispered, "Hello?" The figure didn't react, didn't turn, didn't move. I took one step closer and stopped breathing. Its shoulders, its posture, I recognized it. It was me. Same height, same build, even the way the weight rested on one leg. A perfect outline of myself standing at the counter in the middle of the night. I felt something inside me sink deeply, because whatever that thing was, I hadn't taken a step forward, but its shoulders rose, breathing in sync with me. I whispered, "What do you want?" My voice cracked. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, the figure turned its head to the side. Not enough to reveal a face, just enough to let me know it heard me. Then it did something that made every hair on my neck rise. It lifted its hand and placed it on the counter, the exact way I do when I'm about to lean forward. But I wasn't leaning. I was frozen. It wasn't mimicking me. It was acting ahead of me, like it knew what I would do. I stepped back. It remained still. Then the microwave clock flickered, just for half a second, and the figure vanished. Not walked away, not dissolved. Gone. Like someone cut it out of the frame. I stood there shaking, staring at the empty kitchen. I turned on every light in the house, checked every room, every closet, every corner. Nothing. I barely slept that night. The next morning, I tried to convince myself it was a hallucination, sleep paralysis, a shadow, stress, until I found something on the counter. A glass of water, half full. I had gone to bed without drinking anything. But there it was. Condensation still on the outside, fresh, and next to it, a wet handprint, same size as mine. But the fingers were too long. Much too long. That's when I realized. Whatever I saw in the kitchen wasn't copying me. It wasn't mimicking me. It was trying to replace me. And some nights, when I walk past the kitchen in the dark, I swear I see myself standing there again, waiting for me to fall asleep first. It started when I was 8. I would hear soft scraping beneath the mattress, like fingertips dragging across wood. Slow, deliberate. My parents said it was the house settling, but houses don't breathe, and whatever was under my bed did. Sometimes it exhaled, a low, soft sound, warm air brushing against my ankles through the blankets. I learned not to move when it happened. The older I got, the more the sounds changed. Scraping turned into shifting, shifting into weight, weight into pressure, like something was testing how far it could push upward before I noticed. By the time I was a teenager, I could feel it almost every night. It followed me when I switched houses, even when I moved to college. It always found me. One night in my apartment, I decided to finally check. I grabbed my phone, turned on the flashlight, and lowered myself to the floor. I held my breath and looked under the bed. At first, there was nothing but darkness. Then, 2 eyes opened. Not glowing, not bright, just present, reflecting the light in the wrong way, too deep and too still. I jerked back so hard I hit my head on the nightstand. When I looked again, nothing. But later that night, as I lay perfectly still, I felt a hand wrap around the slats under the mattress. Long fingers. Too many joints. It didn't pull. It didn't scratch. It just stayed there, holding, like it was reminding me it was real. Eventually, I moved to a place with no bed, just a mattress directly on the floor. I thought I'd trapped it. If it had nowhere to crawl, it couldn't reach me. That night was the first night in years that I slept without fear. But around 3 a.m., I woke up to the sound of breathing. Not under me, behind me. Something pressed against my back, thin, bony fingers tracing the outline of my spine through the blanket. Slow, curious, almost affectionate. And in a voice so quiet it could have been my imagination, it whispered, "I liked it better when you were higher." I haven't slept in that room since. But sometimes, when I'm drifting off in a new place, I hear scraping, far away, getting closer. Not under the bed anymore, on the floor, crawling, room to room, until it finds me again.